Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name's Matrix. We're going to be doing the Operation Frost Tips and Tricks 2019. I'm here with Punchy, and I'm also here with Aquanut66. Mark, he is also known as Punchy. He is the leader of the class squadron that I am also a part of, and so is Aqua. And today we're just going to be going through some of the lineups that we are going to be using and little tips and tricks to doing the Operation Frost efficiently. Mark, would you like to talk about or Dan, talk about the Tier 3, how you have to be using Tier 3?
Yeah, sure. In the past events, you could sneak a tier two in and, end with a tier three. Well, they got rid of that now. So it's strictly tier three. So if you got any vehicles that, especially for some of the newer players, if you're just into the tier threes, you want to probably, for me, I have most of the countries all spaded out for up to tier six, but when I come to these events, you want some real quick vehicles, but you don't want a lot of people knocking you out real quick. So, especially for the people newer to the game, I usually run you know, right now I'm running the Japanese three threes and the 3.7 Chinu 2. If you don't have the premium um, Chinu 2, you can always get that on the Warbond shop.
Yeah, it's been on the Warbond shop quite a bit.
Yeah, it
One of
makes its round.
Yeah, one of the things we were going to talk about is how you have to be all tier 3 and how most people know in your daily task, it says tier 3, but you can actually do tier 3 and end in a tier 2. And then there's some events that you were able to start off in a tier 3, go for tier 2 in the middle, and everything counts. In our testing, we found that if you start off in tier 3 and do some tier 2s in between, the win still counts as long as you end in the tier 3, but none of the kills or anything you did in that tier 2 counts.
Yep. I
Um,
don't even think the base captures count.
yeah. You agree, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. So, first lineup we were going to talk about is the Japanese one, the one that you just mentioned, Dan.
hmm
What do you usually take?
Well, if you want a strict 3-3, if you don't have the premium Chino, um, I take the M24 because it's pretty quick. So
Mhm.
you want to get to the cap to get your base cap,
Yeah, this
fast.
year it's 15 base caps for ground vehicles.
Yeah, so the max speed on that is 63 kilometers. So that's a fairly quick. Even the Russian is only at 54. Um, let's see. And then I usually take the Natu and the Soki.
Okay.
And I also, but I do have the Chinu too, so I keep that in my lineup as well.
Yeah, and so that's basically 3-7 for all
Right.
those. Yeah.
Yeah. But if you didn't have the Chino, like I said, just a strict 3-3. So, the max it would put you up against is a 4-3, and the rounds that the Natu has and the M24 have can pretty much handle anything
Yeah, and
uh
the Soki is pretty
4-3.
good for destroying planes, and planes do in arcade do count as player controlled vehicles. So if
Yep.
you get into Soki and you get 7 kills, 7 plane kills, that does count towards your uh, your thing. Mark, what do you think about this lineup? I know you've played
Uh,
it quite a few.
yeah, no, I agree 100%. I got the exact same lineup, and also I have the Chinu 2 as well. I love it. It along the
Mm,
Nato will kill everything in its BR.
Yeah, I have
yeah.
I have talked to a few people on the Tech Hub that just won't play this lineup because they consider it OP or something. They just won't
Oh,
play it.
one thing I would add though is both with the M24 and the Chinu 2 is if you're shooting at a target, it's worthwhile to angle your vehicle a little bit to enhance the armor,
Uh-huh.
as they both have flat fronts.
Yep.
Yeah,
The other
they
thing
do.
about the other thing about those two is they also come with Artie. So, for your assists, even if, you see a concentration, you can start getting little hits as long as your teammates are doing their jobs and trying to knock out as many as they can, you should, with every arty strike, at least get an assist.
Yeah, and one thing to point out is if you're going to be doing this event, you want to do it in a group with friends. And for one, just keep yourself from going stir crazy and bored. Plus, if you're playing in a group of four, your chances of getting assists are much better. Use machine guns, shoot people, get that assist from your friend that's next to you, and teamworks and stuff. Okay, so you mentioned Japanese. I'm going to mention the one that everyone hates and loves, which is the jumbo lineup.
5-0. That was what I was going to say. American lineup 5-0.
5-0 American lineup. Most people have the Cobra King, but if you don't, you can always replace it with the American jumbo, just the regular, the lower end jumbo. Um, for those, I like taking out both jumbos at first. But with that lineup, you usually take the M6A1 or the M18. And we all know the M18 can get those base caps right off the bat. So if you don't want to start off, hitting and punching at the beginning, take that M18 and get that base cap right at the beginning of the game.
Yep.
Um, that's pretty easy to do. Um, Anything
And
you like to talk about this
I
OP
also
lineup?
throw in, I throw those the mediums, the 76s in because those things will take out uh, tigers and
Oh, the
whatnot.
M4, yeah, the those,
M4A1 and A2.
yeah.
Yeah, those 76s do a nice number, so they're good to have in your lineup if you got the five or more.
Yeah, and everything in that lineup is a tier three, so you don't have to worry about you know taking a tier two.
Yeah, I agree 100%. It's a great lineup. I've got the Cobra King, and it's one of my favorite tanks.
Mm.
Sweet. Okay, next tank lineup you would use, Mark Archie.
For the American lineup of, I would use a 4-3. I've got the Calliope, which is the part of the reason for that. The Calliope is a rocket tank, and the lineup I would use would be the Calliope, the M24, and the M4A2. Those are all tier three.
Ooh,
Mm.
Yeah, it's tempting to use a T14, but it's a tier two. Don't use it because it's a heavy tank, but it's a tier two. But the Calliope M24 and the M4A2 are pretty good
yeah,
lineup.
yeah, and the M4 at 4-3 isn't that bad. It's not the worst vehicle, and the M4 is a tier three, unlike all the other Shermans in the earlier Shermans that are all tier two and you can't use.
Mm.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a loaded question to Dan. Uh, what does your USSR lineup for this event look like?
Um, okay, well, I usually run the 4-0 lineup because the T-34 57 is really quick.
Mm-hmm. And what
Um,
do you
I
take that with?
I bring that with the Yag 29 or the 29K, whatever they name it now. Um, that I mean, these all most of my Russian lineup, they're all maxed out. They're all aced crews. So I get the quickest, especially for when it comes to killing. You want something that's got a real quick reload because when you're in the thick of it, you want to be able to pound as good as you can. So the Ag 10 is a 3.7, and now actually the that SU 57B is also a tier three,
Mm-hmm.
and it's instead of the ASU 57 where it's an open top and you can get machine gun to death, the SU 57B can take a couple good hits. It's
Yeah, I
only
was about to say you still can get damaged from a plane in that thing, but
yeah,
less likely.
but yeah, you're not killing as many crews right off the bat. Um, and it's got a real quick reload, especially if your crews are maxed out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think my quickest reload on that is a 5.3. On my 3457, it's 5 seconds, and on my Yag 10, it's 5 seconds. So
Those
it's like
are
some of
those
those.
are really quick reloads.
yeah, considering you look at some of the other ones now, um, yeah, some of the other lower BRs, tier two stuff that shoots at like 3 seconds or 3.8
Yeah,
seconds. That's
and a
quite a bit.
lot of 85 millimeters at KV 85 IS ones that you might run into at a full
Mm,
up tier.
mm-hmm.
You you outgun you. They reload. Their reload is a lot slower, like almost double
Yep.
yours.
And I'll tell you those high velocity rounds from the T-34-57 and the SU, they pen.
Yeah.
They pen them
Uh,
and they can. I
so
kill them all the
one
time.
thing I wanted to say about that lineup was sometimes I like the. I'm still taking the T-34-85, but since I have a lot of gold vehicles, the KV-1E and the T-34-57 43.
Yep, 4-3.
So if you take that, you can also take any of the KV2s if you wanted. KV2 is not as good as it used to be, but you can also take the SU-85, which is a
Right,
wonderful 85 millimeter at
but
4.3.
that puts you more in a lineup with the Tigers. So then
Yeah,
the Tigers still have that 88 round that
that can
will
pen you.
mess you up.
Yeah. But at 4.3, unless you go for full up tier, you won't see a lot of like KV-85s and T-30-85s. Only at a
Mm.
full up tier will you see things with like 88 millimeters and 85 millimeters.
Well, the Zis 5, the KV1 Zis 5,
Mm-hmm.
that one that one is still real hard to pen, even with the T-34s and stuff. That one's the
Yeah.
hardest KV to pen, I think.
Yeah, you might run into an SU-100Y at 4.3.
Mm.
Mark, what does your Russian lineup for this event look like?
Well, the same vehicles as Dan, except that also I'd look at the 5.3. One of the things I do is if I'm playing by myself, especially, it can be frustrating. You'll run sometimes into a losing streak,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'll
Mm.
change the BR and change your opponents in
Yep.
doing so. And so I would probably have the IS-1, the KV-85, and the T-34-85 DT or
Yep.
D5T.
I
Uh,
agree. That's my second lineup for the Russians if I'm having a bad day.
I have that lineup too. IS-1, T-34, 85, DT5. In that lineup, if everyone's looking at my screen, I also have the Russian Sherman thrown in there and the SU-100Y for fun.
That's too long of a reload. I don't mind the paper tiger.
But you
The
also got to
the
remember
PT
in this event,
76.
like you can get your wins, and then sooner or later you have to get those 12, 12 wins, even though you got your kills already.
Hmm.
Not you're not necessarily during this event. You're not necessarily trying to get your wins right away,
Or get everything all in one
or you're
shot.
stuck in
It'd be nice,
or
but
you're stuck in a slump and you can't get those wins. Maybe you might want
mhm.
to take that SU-85 just to get shot at and do some long range damage. At that, you can also take the KV2 ZIS 6 that me and Dan have. Mark, do you have that
KV2 ZIS 6, where is that?
gold vehicle under the
That's a
SU-100Y premium?
that's one of the that was in a wasn't it
Uh,
in one of the war bond shops?
I'm not seeing it.
Oh,
No, I guess I don't have it. I got a
okay.
number of KV, yeah, KV specials, but not not that one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a slower reload, but I mean it's not
One thing to
as slow as
mention
you
in
can as
this event, you will be running into the same people over and over again. There will be
mm,
people just like us. They're playing the same lineup, and they want to get this done as soon as possible. They will start a game, get their kills or get killed, start another game, and they will be and just like I said about playing in groups, they will be in groups of 3, 4. So you will see the same people over and over again.
yeah.
So if you get stuck in that rut, change your PR.
But here's the other thing: is all those players that are all high tier that drop down to the low tiers, like some of
Like
us that
us.
do, that have the KV 220 and all those other OP tanks. You're going to see a lot of those
Yes,
old
yes.
event tanks come out
You
to play.
this event you will see the KV-220 and stuff. Dust off their KV-220s and they take that out.
Yep.
Any more tank lineups you guys want to talk about? We got
The
about
the
a minute or two more.
Germans, I would probably take a 5-7 lineup, with the Panthers being quick tanks for the,
Oh, they are.
and they can take a good hit, and then or the VF or the VFW, bring that in if you have the VFW, and because that's got a 4.3-second reload, and that thing can take a hit.
Yes, yes, it can.
That's an OP tank or SPG.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it, Mark?
Oh, I got two other lineups for the Germans.
Okay.
The 4.3, the Panzer J, G, and the
Hmm.
KV-1B. Or else, if you're just looking for kills, you might take your Whirlwind. Those are all tier 3. And the KV-1B, though, I think is a premium. But
Yes.
if you take the Whirlwind kills, you'll still be getting kills.
Hmm.
For the audience that's listening, the KV-1B has now been renamed the Panzerkampfwagen KV Ein C756R. So if we use the word KV-1B, we're actually talking about the um, it is still called the KV-1B.
Yeah,
Oh, there's
that's a whole other tank. It's a
yeah,
4.7.
that's a 4.7 with the 76 millimeter. Okay, so yeah, the KV-1B that's a 4.0.
Yeah, and then I have another 4.7 lineup. Um, the Hertzer, which is Jagdpanzer 38T,
Mm-hmm.
the Jagdpanzer 4, and either the Dicker Max or the
Mm.
KV-1C 756R, which I think is the one you said was
Yeah, the
renamed.
4.7. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, for that.
and the Oswin is a very good AA vehicle
Hmm.
at 4.3, 4.7. Um, remember, planes do count for your kills. They do. Um, that the last one. Any you like to mention,
Mm.
Dan?
No, th- those are probably my main lineups. I really wouldn't do much with the British or the Chinese or Italy or maybe from French, but that's down the road.
Okay.
That's
Um,
higher tier.
one of the other lineups that I just want to mention before we go and get done with tanks is the AMX 13 FL11 at a 3.3. If you take that lineup with, let's say, the M4A1 FL10 or the SA50 or the Jumbo or anything like that, uh, if you take that lineup and you take, let's say, backups for the Jumbo, so you can take it out twice, and then use the AMX 13 to get your caps, because at 3.3, or even at a 5.0, that AMX 13 3.3 will still get you that cap off the bat, and then you use your Jumbo to, you know, just kill people
Yeah.
and take the
Well,
hits and
the
get the wins.
AMX-13 DCA-40 is also pretty potent and hard to hit.
Yeah,
The AA that does a number.
yeah, it does. Which Oh yeah, that's a 4.7. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's a tier
Hmm.
4, but it still counts.
It's in that realm.
Okay. Anything else before we move on to planes? And that's going to be a whole separate video.
Ideally, try to do your dailies if you're doing those as well at the same time. Figure out the vehicles that match up with that. That's the other tip I would suggest, and make use of the presets on the bottom
Yep.
so you can quickly change your lineups.
I don't really, but
Well, that's why you annoy your other squad mates.
I'm fast with the fingers. I can change lineups very quick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Excuse me.
Join us for the next episode. We're going to be talking about planes. We're going to try to keep that one a little bit shorter. Thanks for watching. If you like, please subscribe. And you don't have to turn on notifications, because really I only do videos when these big events come on. Join us next time for Tips and Tricks Arcade Planes.